Hi, this is Mark. Congratulations. You have found this amazingly awesome show. Chances are you're listening to it right now on whether it's iTunes or Stitcher Radio or some other mobile app that allows you to stream this amazingly awesome show to your ear holes. And I can't stress how awesomely amazing this show really is. But did you know that you can also catch the latest episode of this show on the Tangibound Network? That's right. Go check out tangiboundnetwork.com. You can look them up and you can listen to it right there. It's even mobile friendly. What more could you ask for? Which means you can pull it up on your iPhone or your Android, even your Windows phone. Yeah, who has one of those? But still, point remains, you can do it. You can do it. Check it out, tangiboundnetwork.com. Listen to this show, the latest episode, every time. Check it out.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Salty Language presents The Enthusiast.
Welcome to a new episode of The Enthusiast. I'm Brian.
I'm Tony.
And joining us this time is comedian slash writer slash script writer. I forgot, screenplay writer. I forgot what he says.
Slash stuntman
Yeah.
slash baton twirler.
Right. Jacob Givens. He's a guy I've kind of known and talked with off and on Twitter for a long time. And we brought him on mainly so we could talk about a movie that him and some friends made called I Had a Bloody Good Time at House Harker, which is on Amazon streaming. If you have Prime, you can watch it for free.
Which you should.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
But that was a lot of fun talking with him. I enjoyed that.
Hopefully we can get him back on the show at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we jump into a lot of stuff, and we talk about beer, kilts, the movie, his online series, his stand-up comedy, metal, musics.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah, we kind of jumped. I mean, a lot of it's stuff we kind of cover with most people, but, still, quite a bit was covered in that hour-ish.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So, I guess enjoy. Hey, Jacob, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Well, welcome. Nice and awkward.
Happy to be on the Salty Language podcast. Looking forward to some salty language.
It may or may not happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a weird
thing.
Yeah.
How did that name come about? I'm sure you've probably answered that a lot.
It's an old reference from when we were in high school. We worked in a comic book shop that also had Magic the Gathering tournaments. Yeah. And during one of the Magic the Gathering tournaments, the local newspaper came in and basically, did a little write-up on the shop and stuff. And in the article, it said, except for, or there was something along the lines of there was a lot of salty language.
Oh, yeah.
And it became the joke there. And when we were coming up with names, I said salty language, and we were both like, yes. So
that's got to be it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's such an old-timey way to criticize, profanity. It's like, salty language.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
We are very old-timey.
Where you are right now? You guys cold in your part of the world?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The snowpocalypse is coming our way right now.
That's what I've heard, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll see, I guess. But
yeah. I've already got a tauntaun to stay warm in, so.
Excellent. Did you already kill it?
Not yet. Hey, keep it fresh.
Okay.
I hear they smell bad.
Yeah.
On the house.
Yep.
It's 80. It was 80 degrees here today. So sorry, I don't mean to rub salty language in your wounds.
You kind of did though.
Yeah, it feels like you're showing off.
Yeah,
I am a little bit. I am a little bit.
At least he didn't
I
was gonna say, at least you didn't come on with like well, not that the listeners can see you, but at least you didn't show up for us with like sunglasses up on your head, a real dark tan, like a
sunblock on my nose, even though I'm inside, and like spinning a whistle like a lifeguard for no reason.
Sure,
just for it.
Sounds like you just
got
home
if I podcast from my hammock.
Yeah,
yeah, right. Guys, I've got I'm mixing margaritas.
You don't mind if you hear the ocean, do you?
There's a nice, gentle, tropical breeze running through my podcast. I am no stranger to very cold weather, though, because I did live in Chicago for many years, and I had endured those winters for sure. Yeah. So I am sympathetic. To the brisk. Yeah.
It's a good thing you wised up and ran away, because we're too stupid to do that so far.
But then the crazy thing is which I'm sure we'll get to this eventually, but we filmed a movie in northern Wisconsin, near the Upper Peninsula in November.
Ooh.
So we got hit pretty hard in 2014 when we shot that. So
wow,
it was rough. Lots of good stories to come, guys.
Yeah.
Lots of good stories.
Well, yeah, that was
perfect.
Yeah, that's kind of where. How do you label yourself? Do you label yourself as like a comedian, a man of all things?
That's a good question. I think LA is a city that you try, or at least for me, I've been here for 16 going on 17 years, and I moved here with the intention of being an actor. That was the plan. I was like a guy who was in musicals and stage plays and productions, and when I came here, I thought I was going to be an actor. But very, very quickly, within the first year of being here, being an actor here is not like going to New York and learning how to, get to know the character. It's really about like smiling for the camera, looking picture perfect, and networking, and really doing a lot of obnoxious shit.
Right.
And so I just got really disinterested in it out of the gate. So I spent a lot of my 20s trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do out here. And I started writing scripts. I started doing stand-up comedy. I've done those for many years, but everything in my life changed when me and these guys started making these web series that then became multiple web series that then led us to the feature. And that all is pretty much starting in 2011 to today. So to answer your question, I'm an actor, comedian, and screenwriter, I guess.
Okay, fair enough.
That's it. And a Leo, and I like long walks on the beach, and all those things.
The fold out of Jacob will be available on our website.
The centerfold, yeah, it's coming. The salty language centerfold.
Oh man. That would be the most horrific thing, but we really should do that. Like, not with us, but whoever is on the show. We just like
not with us.
Which guest calendar? That's genius.
Yeah,
the enthusiast calendar.
Yeah, like have everybody like, all right, send us a sexy pose of you, in various states of undress, and then we'll see if you get the part. Yeah,
I'm all for that.
Some of the people we've talked to would be straight up just dick pic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy,
a lot of dick in that calendar. I'm sure somebody has thought to do that by now. Make a calendar of dick pics. That would sell to a very niche market, but I think it would be. There's something there.
There is something there.
Very possible.
I don't want it.
Especially if it's a daily.
Your dick of the day. Yeah.
Dick of the day. That's funny. Oh my god.
What would be great is if, like, in that mixed in, there was just the most awful dicks that you could find.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be good dick for like 3 or 4 days, and then, oh my god!
I think you match the tone of the day of the week. Like, weekend dick is great. Like, Saturday dick is glorious. But, like, Monday dick is going to look tired and hungover, and, like, it doesn't want to be there. But you really start to kind of perk up by Thursday. I think that's how the cock calendar goes.
Sounds accurate.
I agree with you, and also thank you for the sound bites you just provided me.
all day, every day.
Saturday's a good dick day is probably going to be a sound bite.
all I'm here to do is to make my mother proud, right?
Right, sure.
So that eventually these sound bites end up as her ringtones. That's what I'm...
Oh, well, that'll be lovely then.
Oh, Jacob's calling me. Saturday's a good dick day.
Yeah. That rapscallion. Yeah.
That rapscallion. Yeah, I love that word.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great out of context text to send to somebody.
It is.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
So I think we just found a really good business idea. If you guys want to do, we don't have to participate in the dick calendar, but I think there's something there.
It's interesting how many of our enthusiast episodes have somehow come up with a weird business idea within them.
Yeah,
it's true.
What was that?
Well, really, because we all like that. It tends to happen naturally. Like three people get together and ideas are generated. I don't know about you guys, but with some of my closest guy friends, not a year goes by that the thought doesn't come in our heads that we should open a bar. We should open our own restaurant. Like that's like the most, common, what? We should open our own place, man. I'm telling you, it would be great. That's like a common thought for sure.
Hang out, watch the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the cautionary tale on the flip side of it would be just watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Because that's probably what it would be like.
Yeah, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
For sure.
I hope
think of all the amazing adventures.
So many quirky adventures that you and the gang get to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
That would be fun.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It would be.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right, though. We've talked about it before various times. We've talked about, like, how we would name beers and stuff like that, and have fun with that. And, yeah. So, yeah. Are you a beer guy?
A beer guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Big time.
Nice.
I've always wanted to brew my own beer, but every time I start to pursue that journey, I realize it's expensive and time consuming. And I'm like, these are things that I don't have, so
Yeah.
I love buying beer. I love whenever I travel, I go to the store and I look for whatever's like brewed locally. I love that.
Awesome.
And and I'm going to say this with a preface to it, which is, I love IPAs, and I realize that's obnoxious to say now, but I loved them 15 years ago as well, before the upsurgence of like hipster IPA saturation. But I've always loved incredibly hoppy beers. That's kind of my thing.
Nice.
You're just fitting right in. This is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Because out here, like, I don't know how it is with you guys, but now when you say an IPA, it feels like everybody is like, "Oh, you're on the IPA bandwagon." I'm like, "No, man, I was into this ages ago." But I do love those kind of beers, especially because you get the bang for your buck. You pick up a bottle, you go to the side, and you're like, "Oh, 7.2, nice."
Yeah. True enough. Yeah.
My taste buds and my liver are gonna get punched.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yeah. You guys are also both beer guys as well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we do live in a great state for that.
Yes,
there's a lot of really good beer here.
Absolutely.
That's about the only redeeming quality I can think of. So,
what's one of the best local beers that you guys like to get? Like standard.
Probably from the Toledo area. I mean, if we're talking IPAs right now, I'm really a big fan of our Mommy Bay Brewing's Fake Juice. It's like a New England kind of citrusy, juicy IPA.
Oh, that sounds good.
It is
it's very delicious.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mine is a Scotch ale, actually, from a place called Black Cloister, called the True Scotsman. Because I dig a good Scotch ale, and theirs is my favorite.
It is pretty good.
Yeah. You have me at anything that has Scotsman in it. I love all things Scottish. I'm actually in a couple weekends going to the Scottish Festival down here on the Queen Mary ship. They do it every year, where they like right outside the Queen Mary ship, they set up like guys doing, hammer throws and kilts and bagpipes and haggis and scotch. And so I can't wait.
Wow.
I went last. Yeah.
You're doing the old, the caber tossing when they throw around those telephone poles and shit.
Yes. They totally, and good on you for knowing the name of it. I had completely forgotten, but they do that whole, where they, whoa, like that. These guys are huge, but it's really, really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But we were, my wife and I last summer went to the Renaissance Fair, and it was Highlander. Weird Highlander comes up again. Highlander weekend.
Yeah.
And the guys were throwing, which looked like kettlebells up over their head above like a pole vault pole. And I was just most excited that they all had bicycle shorts on. Because they would get some deep squats with those kilts on.
Right? I know, totally. All the guys that were wearing the kilts at the Scottish Festival last year, they all had stuff underneath. Like, nobody was doing the authentic. Because, there was a lot of, like, families walking around, so it's like you couldn't rock the free ball.
Well, sure.
With the legit kilt.
Right, yeah.
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 What if a strong wind came blowing through, be the Marilyn Manson, Marilyn Monroe scene.
They're very similar, man.
Yeah, very. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I wonder if they had like a kilt check at the door, where like if you were walking in the festival with a kilt, they had to be like did you line the goods? Did you are you wearing something in there? Make sure little like picking it up and being like, oh man, hey, would you put something on?
Yeah,
you got one of those mirrors they check under trucks with.
Yeah, for bombs.
Yeah.
They have a guy there who's doing a cock and balls kilt check.
Yeah.
All right, you're good. You're
good.
Right this way.
Sorry, sir. You have to have something on. They just have a box with just like old tights in it or something like that.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully Argyle socks. That's what they hand out. Just put Argyle plaid socks over.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a fall beer fest a couple years ago that they always line up all the porta potties, and there's always looks like a mosh pit happening. And there was one guy off to the side of them just pulling his kilt up in the air, pissing on the ground.
Of course.
So, I mean, free balling has its advantages.
It does. And if you add booze into any kind of public festival, that is just bound to happen.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard.
So I'm saying, Brian, we're getting kilts.
I have always wanted to get my family's plaid, but I've never committed to it. But I do have Scottish ancestry, and I've always wanted to go get it. But it's pricey as far as I've been able to find. Like if somebody gets you your actual kilt made in your family's tartan.
Yeah. Chicks dig kilts, though.
Yeah, it's very true.
Just saying.
Yeah. I'm just saying, too. Mm-hmm. I know my wife and I have been watching Outlander a lot, which is like literally the Scottish horny show. I don't know if you've ever seen Outlander.
I love how you described it.
Well, it's literally like a Game of Thrones-esque type thing. It's like a period piece. It's Scotland. But it's it's much more love-driven. It's based off these books, but there's a lot of brutal stuff. I mean, there's battles in there that have like, people's faces getting smashed in. But like the whole thing is just nothing but Scottish accents and kilts, and so literally, and there's just so much boning in the series. So it's So
is this the one that involves slight time travel type situations? Yes. Okay, my wife's been watching it.
Yeah, it's on Stars. It's actually really, really good. When I started it, I was like, I don't know if it's for me because it was a little bit more on the sappier side.
Sure.
But as you get into the story, I was like, it's actually pretty good. So now I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Outlander for sure.
I'm guessing the amount of boning went up, and that's when your interest. No.
Yeah. Tops kept coming off, and I was like, all right, I'm totally into this show.
Yeah.
I guess I'm in.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're like, hey, honey, you want to watch Outlander? She's like, you need to calm down.
Should we do an Outlander marathon? We should definitely do an Outlander marathon.
Yeah.
Get my kilt.
Yeah. Like, are you hard right now? What the hell?
They're top of the kilts, right? They know.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's why you have those little furry purses you wear.
Yeah.
Whatever that's called.
I don't know what those are called, but that's had to have been like some brilliant guy in 1100 who was like, we need something to cover our boners.
Right.
It's a Scottish math book.
Ouch, mate, to put it right here and it just sits right on top.
That's a good idea. Plus, I mean, by positioning it there, it'd probably keep you from, slapping about, as you're walking. So
yeah. And it was a fanny pack, but it was still cool. Like they could totally store their shit there, but nobody would tell the Scotsman that he's wearing a fanny pack. He'd be like, "Oh, nice furry pouch, man."
Right.
Right.
There you go, Tony. There's your answer for the for your fanny pack, because Tony's wife won't let him get a fanny pack, but I know she'd be okay with him having a kilt. So
exactly.
You almost said a skirt, didn't
you? I did. I wouldn't have been wrong either way.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Man.
So we should probably get to the movie at some point.
Yeah,
we
I
can
guess.
keep talking about pissing on the ground and beers, although we could keep talking about beers.
We found about 2 or 3 ways to talk about dick and balls in literally like the first 15 minutes, and
We'll get back to them.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I'm proud of you for that. I just think it's an accomplishment. You know?
Yeah.
So,
It's a gift. Yeah.
it is a gift.
Yeah. Everything always
I love
comes
it.
back to balls.
It does.
Mhm.
Hello. That's very true.
Man.
That's a mission
Yeah.
statement for our show.
Yeah, pretty much.
It comes back to balls.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, salty language. I mean, balls are salty, so right there you go.
It's true.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I where do I begin? It's a vast story to I guess. Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Have you guys seen this?
Yes. Watched it last night.
Yes.
That's awesome. Did you have fun? Did
Yes.
you have a bloody good time?
Yes.
Yes, my wife and I both enjoyed the shit out of it, and her exact quote was, "Well, I'm going to make everybody watch this now."
Yeah.
Oh, Tony, that's like the best thing you could possibly tell me. That's amazing. Thank you.
I was
Yeah,
telling
we
people
enjoyed it.
I was telling people
Yeah.
around Twitter last night, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I know who he is," and I was like, "You should go watch the movie. It's a lot of fun." So.
Yeah, well, it's for those listening, it's called "I Had a Bloody Good Time in House Harker," and it's an intentionally long title. It's kind of funny whenever I talk to a complete stranger and I tell them about the film. They're like, "Oh, what was that?" But I always tell them, now that it's on Amazon Prime, as far as I know, I've tested it a couple times. If you start writing the words "I had," it pops up.
Yep, it did for me
So
last night. Yep.
Yeah, so that's what's been kind of cool is that we own I Had on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, right.
Perfect. Pretty good phrase to own.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I'm glad you guys have seen it because now you'll have an idea of some of the things that if you have any questions about the process. But for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a vampire comedy, horror movie, but really much more a comedy than a horror. We have blood in it, but it's essentially, Harker comes from the character in Bram Stoker's Dracula, Jonathan Harker. And, we came up with this idea initially as like a web series type thing. That was the plan. And we just thought it would be funny when we first started coming up with it, me and the guys who made these other shows. We sat down and we were like, Van Helsing gets all this credit. Like, people are always talking about Van Helsing. He gets all these spin-off movies. And we're like, the funny thing is in the book, like, Harker is the one who kills Dracula. Like, he's the guy who does the fatal blow. His buddy, he dies. He kills Dracula. And everybody's like, Van Helsing this, Van Helsing that. So we're like, it would be kind of funny to be his descendants and literally have this legacy, and nobody gives a shit. And so that kind of was the starting point for the story. And we just thought it would be funny to, like, what would his great-great-grandchildren be like, and what kind of torch would they have to carry on? And so we started coming up with a script, and we decided to make it a feature because all these years we were making these web shows, and there's just, as you probably know, there's no money to be made making content on YouTube. There's just no profit. We had people invest in our projects and help get them made along the way, but you really don't get anything in return, one. And then two, people tend to kind of write you off. Oh, you're just a YouTube show.
Sure.
Right.
Especially here in LA, you go and they go, what do you guys do as filmmakers? And you go, we have a great series on YouTube. And they're already going like, oh, YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when we finally got into like this feature format, we decided, we were like, you know what, let's make an indie feature film. And we went to Wisconsin because the guy who plays Ned in the film, Derek, he was born and raised in that town where we were filming, which is Washburn. And so his mom and dad lived there, his siblings, he had friends, the family, like the whole town. So he said early on, he's like, if we film in this town, like, we could film anywhere we want. We won't have the limitations like in LA with the permits and the police and the can't film here, can't film there.
Sure.
And it's like, and we've got this house that my dad is refurbishing that's kind of half built. We can use that. And so it just seemed to make the most sense when we put everything together to go shoot there. And the timing, when all the private investments and money that we had raised came in, we got down to it and we're like, well, we can go shoot in November, which was totally a risky time to go to northern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But it wasn't supposed to snow when we first got there. And then after our first week, it was literally a polar vortex, 22 inches in one night.
Oh, man.
And then the next, it just kept coming and it just kept coming. But we found all these great workarounds, and, you know, we lost a little bit of the time in the 3 weeks we were filming from the weather. And we just made that up back here in LA by kind of cheating some shots and whatnot. But it was a real labor of love, and it was very, very low budget. And, you know, we did a small Kickstarter to help with the post funds once we had almost everything in the can. And then we spent most of 2015 editing it. And then 2016, we got to travel the world with it and take it to festivals. And then, you know, when it came time to distribute it, just Amazon Prime made the most sense because it enabled us to share our movie with the world and still retain the rights and ownership of the movie, because a lot of other things that come your way really require you to give up a lot of it.
Sure.
Or it completely. And we just wanted, if this film ever could have the legs to be an Evil Dead type thing, we really want to keep our stake in it as much as possible. So
no pun
That
intended.
makes sense.
yeah.
Hey.
Well done. So, yeah.
Well, that's really cool. So to get it on Amazon, is there like just a process where you submit, or do you have to like go through meetings and all that kind of stuff, or how's that?
We're with a company called Shoreline Entertainment out here, and Shoreline have been really helpful. They put a little bit of money in the film, and then when it came time to do the festivals, they helped us with the festivals, and they were trying to help get us DVD distribution deals and you know, maybe a limited theatrical run, and we were working on all that. But it just time and time again, just the things that were presented to us, we just kept thinking, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. And when Morris Ruskin, who runs Shoreline, suggested Amazon, he said that's something that they have a relationship where they could set up that through Shoreline. And he said, this is how it would go. You know, you guys would primarily be responsible for promoting and marketing the film yourselves.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you do this, I think it makes the most sense for what you guys want. And so we just, once we knew it was coming out on Friday the 13th in October, which was an awesome time to be releasing a vampire horror comedy.
Yeah.
Right.
We had to promote it as much as possible through Twitter, through Facebook, through, you know, Snapchat and Instagram, just getting the word out there as much as possible. So yeah, that month I was like pretty obnoxious. I was literally just like, watch my movie because it was a live or die a few weeks.
Sure.
You know?
And that's why,
right.
you know, as somebody who's known you for a little bit and talk, you know, we've been in like Twitter rooms and follow each other on Instagram and different stuff. I was like, man, he is really hustling.
We had to.
Yeah.
I had
sure.
to. It was one of those things where we sat down in a room and we're like, if we do this, if we let it go in the world and we don't hustle, then it'll disappear. You know, it'll just fall in the algorithms deep in the dark recesses of Amazon. And really, because we did such a hard push, it ended up in that spindle, you know, that said like most watched for like 4 days when it released, and that's all we needed. We needed just a little bit of a push so that it gets out there and that you get reviews coming and you're like, I don't think this is a family member, you know, like this is a real person.
They're actually all me.
So yeah, it was a crazy time, but now it's out there. I feel like it's doing well. You know, it's one of those things that it's hard not to look at comments and reviews and what people think. And I think that for the people, we made this for people that like this kind of movie. And I think that if you see a film like Shaun of the Dead and you don't like Shaun of the Dead, or you don't like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, it's not your kind of movie. That's what this is.
Yeah, it really is. You're right.
Yeah, you get it. You get somebody who comes in and is surprised by it. For the most part, you guys both enjoyed it, so I think you guys probably like films like this more than likely.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a very enjoyable movie. You'll definitely join the Halloween playlist.
Good, I'm glad. I'm glad. And as you can see, I had very short hair and no beard, and nice bright blue velvet jacket, and being as theatrical as possible, and Jerry Parker ruining my family's life.
Oh man,
so.
there's things. It's like there's things I want to like mention to you, but I don't want to like give everything away. But one of the things I have to mention to you was I nearly ruined my computer by almost spitting my drink out when I first saw the family portrait.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe gag to talk about because it really doesn't take away from much of the story. But that was an early on, we're writing the joke of the family, we're writing about the family, and we were like, wouldn't it be hilarious if Jerry's mom, who's not in the film, of course, the kid's mom, it looks exactly like him, and in that it's me in a dress as the mother. And we just thought that would be such a funny sight gag of that moment, where our neighbor asks, like, I didn't know your mom, and then you see the face, and then you see me right next to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow. Because if anything, I do not have a feminine face at all.
Right.
And so it really played.
And the expression you're making in the pictures is freaking great.
Yeah, classic.
My team seems to make me make that face in every project we do. This stupid gawking, and I think Dell, who you mentioned earlier, he when we were in Vegas together, I was
Yep, I was just going to say the picture he showed me. Yep.
Somebody said, what did they say? They said something like, "I have resting joy face" or something. You're like, it's always like, hi.
Well, at least it's something memorable, and not a negative.
Yeah.
As far as
it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
I had that reputation out here in LA too as a comedian because, comedians are usually pretty dour and angry, and I like walk into these clubs and I'm always just grinning on my face like an asshole. And so I've made a lot of jokes about that. It works in my favor,
Sure.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the comedian Pete Holmes, but we have a similar problem, which was we were raised in these like, oh shucks kind of families, and so it just stays permanently. It just stays with you permanently, no matter how jaded or much this city tries to break me down. I have an aw shucksy expression, and I can't escape it. So in the movie, Jerry has that aw shucksy expression come back. So.
Yeah, that was great. Like I said, I'm just sitting here, because it's pretty early in the movie. I'm taking a drink, and I'm like, because I just totally didn't see it coming. It was great. And then with the same thing, she's a handsome woman. Yeah.
The primary cast of the movie were all LA people, but when we got to Wisconsin, we did have to like all the crowd and people that played the, people in the town and whatnot were people that we got locally, and they were really great. And it was super fun. And I really think that the snow in the end kind of ended up giving the film a lot of charm that, that snowy, wintry feel that it has. We had to do a lot of tricks. Like when we knew the snow was coming, when it was too late, we lined, it was Derek's father's idea. We lined the front lawn with a giant, 100-foot tarp. And the snow came down, and then when it came time near the end of the trip where we needed to get some yard shots, we just shoveled off all the snow, peeled off the tarp so that it was still that bald lawn so that it looked
nice.
And, we had to do all sorts of crazy tricks like that. But there's one scene, not without spoiling it, but there's this one scene where, Charlie with the hose. Yeah, he's got to unroll the hose. That whole sequence there takes place in like 6 different locations in California and Wisconsin. So the cuts are literally like are literally so it's like the power of cinema, So.
Wow,
magic.
Magic. That's awesome. I'm glad you'll spread the word. So we're hoping the door will open and maybe how well it. Love to make it.
Well, werewolves.
Yeah, the very, very end line does set up. Set up. Maybe werewolves would be where you go. So, have and the deer I have, I think we're ready to go. We're like wolfing out already.
I mean, I'm secretly hoping for a Twirl prequel. I like that a lot.
Yeah, there was a tour. There was we shot more footage of that fake trailer of the movie Twirl, and that was a fan favorite of the film. When we took it to Spain, people went crazy over the Twirl, and then Germany too. It always took people by surprise, that fake movie Twirl. So
Nice.
I think we got to do something with it.
I was thinking, like before Pixar movies, they have those little shorts before them. That's what I was thinking. Is it'd be a great spot right there for that, and that was so good. I love the references, about it too, like what kind of movie it is that keeps changing. It was, it was killing me.
The line where they reference what kind of film it is.
It was. I love that. Now, here's a question. Did you do all your own stunts?
True story. So for those listening who haven't seen the film yet, so in the film I play a failed actor, a guy who went to LA and things didn't work out for him. So, pulls from a real place, a guy who's been out here a long time and had his trials and tribulations. But I played a failed actor who had this film where I was a baton twirler in a movie. And so the funny story is, wrote in the script that Jerry had done this film, and there was going to be a fight scene where I was great with the baton. That was going to be the great joke. And I order one online. It gets to me 2-3 months before we're supposed to go shoot, and I start practicing, and I just suck. I suck at it. I'm like every day trying to twirl this thing. I'm asking people for some tricks, some tips, like, can you teach me how to twirl a baton? And just weeks go by, and we're getting closer to the shoot date, and I'm like, fuck, man, I'm not going to be able to twirl this baton in this movie. And then we're sitting there, and Derek, I think, says, like, I think it's funnier if Jerry never learned how to do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think it'd be funnier if he's, like, really bad at twirling the baton. So we kind of literally weeks before we're about to go shoot the film, we just completely changed the scene, and we're like, I think it's better that, he makes excuses. He tells them that it was a stunt double. And then when you get to this moment where he really has to shine with his baton, he's not going to shine at all. It's going to be dreadful. And it really that is the joy of indie cinema, is you find these great things that accidentally happen because you run out of time, you run out of money, you have to make shortcuts in the process that you go, we gotta do.
Right.
One last anecdote about that. There's a scene in the film that's in the trailer, so I'm not really giving much away. Where the old man Walter raises the cross up to the window, and the vampire kind of gasps like that, and he does it a couple times, almost an Abbott and Costello, kind of like vaudevillian routine. That was a last minute ad because the action scene that we were supposed to film, it was already midnight. It was negative degrees outside. We didn't want to put this poor old man actor into being thrown out in the snow. We were like, what are we going to do? We're out of time. We can't do anything. And just at the last minute, we all came up with this funny visual joke of the crucifix making him. And now I can't picture the film without that joke in it. So when you are limited on your resources and time and everything on making movies, sometimes these really great happy accidents happen. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that was a great scene. You're right. So it's interesting to find out that was like we got to make it audible here, and it's pretty cool.
Exactly. We had to come up with something. But we were blood soaked for many days. We had a hose where they covered us head to toe in blood, and we would get up and it stained my contacts pink.
Oh wow!
Jesus!
I had 2 pairs of contacts with me during filming, and whenever I knew it was a blood day, I'd put in the pink one because they were already ruined. And then then I had the other ones for the scenes where I wasn't covered in blood. But it was pretty funny because if you looked close enough, you could totally see this pink circle around my eye from the blood. So I probably have permanent vision loss, and it's fine. It's all
worth it. Yeah,
worth it.
Yeah,
worth it. What do I need to see for?
You suffer for your craft.
Exactly.
Exactly. From pain comes art. So
Exactly.
I have to ask. I sure hope that the little old lady who played Mavis was not so evil in real life.
Oh, she's the sweetest lady in the world, and I'm glad you asked.
She was so hateable.
I know, and she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And not only was she great in the film, she is the mother of Derek, who played Ned. That's his mom.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
wow. Nice.
and she's she's such a sweet woman, and she cooked all of our food for our cast and crew while we were there. She fed us. She has this sweet Midwestern, great accent, and oh, you guys, it's just so sweet. And she when we were trying to figure out how to cast Mavis, we knew we had to cast locally. We just weren't finding anybody that really worked, and it was Derek who said, my mom can take out her partial and expose that she's missing a tooth, and I think it'll really sell it. And sure enough, they were with her one night, got a few glasses of wine in her, had her take it out, and they read some lines, and our director Clayton was like, sold, perfect.
Yeah.
So it was really great because it was a family affair for sure. We had his own mother play the evil, wicked Mavis next door. So
that's
pretty wild.
Yeah,
that's
wow.
a good story.
Mm. Wow.
But
so I have another question to ask you that I wrote down when I was watching, which is where do I get a Ned's Wood hat / t-shirt?
We have a store.
Oh, do you? I didn't know this.
Yes, we do have a store. I mean, it's relatively new. I want to say that around December, we launched a store on the House Harker website. And I think it takes you to a cafe press. And we do, over the holidays, I remember they set up a sale on there where it was 15% off for the holidays. So we may do another sale, especially if people want to go check it out. But they have Ned's Wood hats. They have mugs that say Harker on it. They have the T-shirt that we wear in the film.
Right.
We have the logo T-shirt. We have a bunch of stuff. And we haven't done a very good job of getting the word out there about the store. But, I mean, I even myself have ordered myself a Harker mug and the Ned's Wood hat. I mean, you got to have that.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that hat the first time, I was like, I want that hat.
Yeah. But yeah, the T-shirts, when we were traveling with it overseas, we had T-shirts made from the ones that we wear in the film, and we would throw them out.
Sure. Yeah.
In the crowds, and we were amazed by how much people wanted those shirts. We got pictures with people in the audience wearing them, and then when people invested in the Kickstarter to the post, that was their reward, where it was the shirt. So
I was wondering about that. I was thinking about that before you mentioned it, so I'm glad you were covered that already. Because it seems like, I mean, it's easily the perfect built-in marketing tool for the movie.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah.
It's perfect
for sure.
because it's like a shirt in the film, and then people are like, oh, I want that shirt.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's cool, and maybe because of this podcast we'll get some product moving.
So. Expect a spike in sales, my friend.
The salty language bump. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
No. It's worth a try. I mean,
Well, are you working on anything right now then?
Yeah, that's the question of, you spend 3 years trying to get a movie out, and then you're like, what's next, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
It's crazy because the speed and ferocity of putting together stuff that we've done since 2011, we did, I don't know, you guys should check out sometime. We have this channel on YouTube called Good Cops TV, and that's where season 1 of Good Cops exists, season 2 of Good Cops. And then we also had this web series called Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed was probably our biggest hit on the on YouTube. It was have you ever played the game Red Dead Redemption or heard of it?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So we made a series, live action series, where a gamer wakes up in the Old West, in a game like Red Dead Redemption, and the character, everything that he says out of his mouth is what the gamer would say. So he's not staying in character in the Old West. He's actually living there like a teenage boy in the body of a gunslinger. So he sees a girl bathing by the stream. He's like, boobies, So he's living, and then when he gets killed, he respawns to his previous launch point, and and it goes on like that. He has to learn how to kind of play within the rules of the game. So we did Good Cops 1 and 2, then Tumbleweed, and we've had this large amount of people online who are like, when am I going to see a season 2 of Tumbleweed? So we spent last year trying to put together a season 2 of Tumbleweed, and then I don't know where that's going to go in terms of who wants to do it or if there's opportunities to do it.
Yeah.
And then after Harker launched, we immediately started talking about a sequel. So we've met and talked about a sequel. So there's just a lot of things in the air of what do we do next?
Right.
What's the next project we have? And so in a lot of ways, I'm kind of going stir crazy because I feel like we spent so many years making the film, and now I'm like, I want to do it again. So
Right.
I got to keep myself busy with comedy and writing things and going on podcasts with really great dudes.
Right. Especially that last one. Very important.
The Dick calendar is probably going to be my focus for the next 2 months.
That's smart. That's a good move right there. That'll fund everything else. So
yeah, and that's what's beginning to dawn on me is that why are we looking for money when literally the money is right there?
We'll start our own entertainment company. It'll be called Dick a Day Entertainment. But it won't be like spaced out. It'll be like it's someone's last name, like Holiday. It'll be Dick a Day.
Yeah, Dick a Day.
Oh my God. Brian, that's genius.
And only people who listen to this will get it.
Yeah. But it's
perfect.
So I don't know what we're going to do next, but always keeping busy, always trying to create funny stuff, That's my favorite thing to do is make people laugh. That's, I like all genres of film. I'd love to make any kind of film, but at the end of the day, I think that I was made to do comedy more than anything. So.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing comedy? Just since you moved out there, or?
No, the crazy thing is I did my first open mic in 2004, 2005, and then I just didn't go back. It's not that I was scared to. I just, like I told you guys before, the pursuit in LA, it was always shifting. I was like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that.
Oh, okay.
And one of my good friends that I've known since I got out here is a comedian named Chris D'Elia. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him do stand-up before. But
yeah, he's great. Yeah.
He's a good friend, and he and I went to that open mic in 2005 together. And he was like, we should do this every single day. We should do stand-up every single day. And I was like, yeah, we totally should. And I didn't go back, but he went every day.
Right.
More than that. He went 5 times a day. He was just literally obsessed with doing comedy. And so as his career grew and grew, and I was watching him on TV, I was like, wow, I should have kept doing comedy with
like shit.
Oh, man, I really should have kept going to those open mics. So then in 2010, 2011, right when Good Cops was starting, some friends of mine wanted to go see Chris at the Laugh Factory, and I called him up and I just said, hey, I want to bring some friends to come see you, do a show. And he's like, sure. So we went in, we saw him. I hadn't been hanging out with him as much because I had my first son, and family stuff takes you away from all the fun, cool things in life sometimes. So I had all that focused on. So we hadn't hung out in a while. And I saw him do stand-up, and I was just mesmerized because it was just the time of my life. All the comedians that night were great, and he was great, and just the energy in the room. And I was like, man, why didn't I do this? So we went for coffee the next day, and I said, I really feel like I should have kept doing stand-up. And he was like, yeah.
Like I told you. Yeah.
I told you in 2005. So he just sat down with me, kind of talked to me a little about his journey, things to look for in the LA comedy scene, pitfalls that maybe he had already been through, and just said, this is kind of how you start. You just got to start hitting open mics. And that was 2011. And so I guess, I'm on my year 7 now, pretty much. So yeah, I just started doing mics, and that's kind of how it goes. You start doing open mics over and over again, and then somebody gives you your first show. And then after you do it for a few years, you at least have the luxury of saying, hey, I'd like a spot, and somebody will give it to you. But there's no money to be had as a comedian in LA unless you have TV credits. And so Comedy Store, Improv, Laugh Factory, I can perform those if somebody's putting up a show, like an independent show in those venues, but I'm not going to get paid anything. I'm not passed at those clubs as a comedian that's on there bill.
Sure.
Right.
So really life changes for you as a comic once you go on Conan and you get that 5 minutes. As soon as you have a credit, then people really start to take you seriously. But it's a long haul of dive bars at 1 a.m. with 2 drunks listening to you, and driving to somewhere that's 45 minutes away to get 7 minutes, hoping that you'll get, that people will show up. And it gets hard and difficult, and it wears you down. But that, then there's the reward of having a room and, seeing everybody die laughing. And it's like, It's like one of the greatest highs in the world.
Now, here's a question I keep forgetting to ask when we talk to comedians, and I want to find out, have you ever killed in a room of 2?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
That weren't like Nana and Grandpa or something? I mean,
yeah. I mean, you have moments where if you get, it's funny because you can't call it killing to another comic.
Yeah.
They'd be like, 2 people.
Right.
But I've definitely had those nights where you've got 2 or 3 drunk patrons in a bar and they're done, and you just go. And the funny thing is a lot of the other comedians get discouraged. That happens over and over again. Rightfully so. It's very discouraging.
Yeah.
But I've had moments where I've thought, you know what? I'm going to give the energy as if I was in Madison Square Garden right now. I'm going to go as big and hard as I can with my jokes and just try to have fun, or I'm going to engage with them, talk to them a little bit, do some crowd work. And you can get them to come out of their shells and laugh and really start cracking up. And, those are very memorable nights, even with just a couple people in a bar that you didn't think you could get them to care. When you can see them turn that corner, it's a great feeling. It really is.
Yeah. I appreciate the fact that, that you do that you're still, like, I'm going to make the best of this versus I'm just going to get through my stuff and get off stage,
Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing is that's what you want to do. You want to just go, well, why try? But then again, we're entertainers, right? It's like, gotta get good at performing in all circumstances. So, but yeah, I have recently been getting back on shows again, but over the past few months, I had not been doing much because it was one of those seasons where I was going, man, this is hard. But have you guys ever gone to an open mic and done some jokes?
No,
sir, have not.
Any interest?
I've kicked it around a little bit, but there's that whole having a heart attack stepping on stage situation.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping he does so I can heckle him. So
yeah, that'd be a great time to heckle.
Yeah.
Great time. You're dying up there, literally.
Yeah. Nice heart attack. Yeah.
Dick.
Yeah. It's fake.
Well, that audience would never forget that show, so you've got that.
Right?
Well, that's true. It's one way to go out on the gurney.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, that's the old, died what he loved doing or whatever, I guess,
Yeah, exactly.
Clutching his heart.
Clutching my chest.
Yep. Clutching your chest.
You
feeling pain. Oh, man.
Yep.
Right, so I had another question to ask you here, which is, am I misremembering, or are you like a giant metalhead?
Huge metalhead.
Thought so.
Accurate.
Which is really funny when, again, it helps when people, like, if they see that resting joy face, and then they think of you at like a Screamcore show or something,
That's the funniest thing, dude. When people find out I love metal, they go, what? And here's the thing. You guys are seeing me with a beard and long hair, so I look the part somewhat. But when I look like I normally do, like I did in House Harker, with that hair, and like short hair and shaved face, I look like a youth pastor. I was born with the face. I was born with the face of a guy like, come on, guys, we're going to go to paintball and then read the Bible. I have one of those faces. When people find out that I like metal, they're just like, how is that even possible? But yeah, I love it. And I grew up when I was in high school. I loved, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Pantera, Testament, the bands at the time that were, really accessible metal at that age. But something happened in my adult life, probably children. And I've just gotten I've gotten into even deeper, darker death metal. I went to go see Meshuggah last week. I've seen Deicide live. I went to Summer Slaughter last summer. And sometimes I go by myself because I cannot find a friend who likes metal. I have like one friend that likes metal like I do. But yeah, I love it. I love it. Are you a metal? Oh, either of you?
Oh yeah, I'll dabble.
I dabble.
Look, if I lived there by you, I'd go with you because fuck it, it's live. It's live music. Right. It's going to be fun probably anyway. So I'd be in.
You just drink a lot of beer and a lot of headbanging.
Right.
And, it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. Well, what's in your rotation right now? What do you like? If you popped up your Spotify, what are you listening to?
Black Dahlia Murder I love that band so much. I think they're absolutely amazing. I've been listening to what's that other band? I love Amon Amarth. They're Norway death metal, so they're like kind of they're kind of like a Viking metal band. It's very triumphant. It sounds like what Thor would like lift weights to.
Right.
Definitely. I've been listening to Meshuggah. I love some. There's a band called Death Heaven that I really like. But then I also really like and Code Orange. Great. They're awesome. I could go on for days. But I also love 80s throwback synth groups that are coming out now. Not like pop 80s, but like that stuff that sounds like the synth wave, kind of dark and sounds like film score type stuff. I love that as well.
Oh, okay.
My favorite band of all time is the Smashing Pumpkins. I was like a diehard fan in their heyday. They're not quite the band they once were, right. But from 1992 to the year 2000, that's the only band that I would have gone around the world to see them play. They were my huge influence on me as a guitar player, and musically, I just loved everything that they did. So I was grew up in the 90s, and so I was part of the whole grunge and that era.
That's right with us too. Yeah,
it's exactly. Right in our wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nirvana, all those Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins. I was into all those. Had those posters all over my room as a kid,
and now too. No.
yeah. And now still. There's a series coming out on Netflix called Everything Sucks, and it's literally following around kids in high school in 1996. And I was like, oh great, now I'm old enough that my life is nostalgic.
Wow.
I was watching this trailer for it, and I was like, oh man, they're talking about using modems and all those references. And I was like,
wow.
Here we go.
This is something I'll definitely have to watch.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because
it's called Everything Sucks.
Because 96 was my senior year, so yeah.
Was that your senior year?
Yep.
Yeah, I was 97. Well, 96 to 97 was my senior year, yeah. So we're the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was like... I saw Netflix also had that, what was it, like Toys from... I forgot what it is. It's a bunch of, like, looks back
Toys from the 80s.
Yeah.
Toys from the 80s.
And when I first saw it, I was like, that is so built for us, because that's right in our, childhood up. So I was like, geez. Because you're right. When, you realize that the local oldie station is playing stuff from when you were, the stuff you first were listening to, and you're like, oh, man, I
know flashback lunches and stuff. Now they're playing stuff that I was like, wait a second, this is a flashback now?
Right.
And then I've been trying to, my oldest son, I'm trying to show him like bands that I grew up with. And he's just like, oh, it's just so mopey.
Isn't that depressing?
Show him some Nirvana, and he just hears this guy screaming and these loud guitars. I'm like, this may make more sense when like puberty kicks in and you're angry at the world, and then maybe you'll like it more then.
Yeah, when you're looking for that angry, yelly voice. Yeah, it's
yeah. Because when I was little, when I was a kid, I didn't like. Obviously, I wasn't into no little kids into cool music. It's of course pop and whatever you're listening to. I mean, maybe you guys were, but I definitely wasn't.
No,
it took a cool cousin to hand me a cassette tape and go like, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had an older brother that exposed me to Iron Maiden and Metallica in the same night, and I was just like, yep. Yeah, it was the first time, for like I had liked other music or whatever, but there was nothing that I was like, this is it. This is the stuff I'm going to really dig. And Yeah, I was listening to, it was, I think it was Master of Puppets was the Metallica one. I couldn't tell you the Iron Maiden one. But my brother was a big Iron Maiden fan. So yeah, it was, because before that it was like, my sister liked a lot of stuff like, Survivor and Journey and all that kind of crap. And,
Totally.
even now I'm like, whatever, it's got its place. But, like I said, when he turned to first put that record on,
record,
vinyl. See, it was cool.
Yeah,
it
was
right.
Yeah, when he put that on, it just blew my mind, and I was like, "Yep, this is it."
Yeah, I know. I remember it well. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's actually my hometown. And I was listening to pop crap, CNC Music Factory and Vanilla Ice and all that stuff. And then I think I got introduced to hair bands first. That was my transition to metal. Was I got Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, Warrant, all those things of pop. Sure. And then I got into the heavier stuff, and then got into the metal stuff, and then the alternative. My brother picked up this radio wave from a place called Rogers State College, which was this college town out in the middle of nowhere, and they were playing Dead Kennedys and The Cure and the Smiths, and we're sitting up there and we're listening to all these the Pixies, and like that's when my life completely changed musically, because I was listening to stuff that like it's 1991, 92, and I'm listening to these alternative bands, and that's like changed the landscape for me entirely. From all that pop stuff. So yeah, I think just your musical journey as a teenager is like, it happens on its own pace. Right. So,
yeah. It's funny. I didn't, unfortunately I didn't, get to hear pretty much any of the like, the like punk stuff or the alternative stuff like the Pixies and Dead Kennedys and all that stuff. That all somehow evaded me until just a few years ago. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, a friend of mine, we would sit and talk on Skype, actually, and basically share songs. And she totally got me into, so now as I'm listening to stuff, like bands are completely new to me that are from the, early 80s or whatever, and stuff. So it's kind of cool,
I envy you a little bit, because like I think that now, because it's hard to turn on the radio and listen to what's out there now, right? We're getting to be grown-ups, and we don't want to, like, whatever's on the radio, you're like, oh, this is shit, this is horrible. And so the idea of being able to be reintroduced to all this great music from your youth, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Tony, were you really big into music in your teen years too?
Well, I mean, we, basically grew up, we might as well have been brothers growing up, so we both pretty much dove into the metal at the same time. I mean, my family, my mom, I was the house that you'd get off the school bus and the windows were all open. There's music blaring through the windows from my mom. Yeah, so I always had music in my life, but I came up like, oh, classic rock, this is the shit. And then, like Brian is saying, oh wait, what is this? What is this dark, heavy stuff that just opened up a whole new door in my brain?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I grew up, like, my family, we used to go around and do, like, car shows and flea markets and stuff, so I got a lot of, like, 50s, 60s rock music, that's really what I grew up on, and I still dig that stuff now. Like, I love that. I love, like, Motown stuff. I dig a lot of that other stuff, so it's, it isn't just, like you were saying about liking the other, like, the synth stuff, too. It's not that I'm, like, laser focused on one thing. It's, I really have liked a lot of things.
I like almost every genre of music. The only one I've never been able to get into is country music. That has completely evaded me my whole life. In Oklahoma, where I grew up, you either learn to embrace it and love it, or you reject it entirely. And I've always just been like, not for me. I mean, I like old, like Hank Williams, Willie Nelson, like Patsy Cline, oldies. Country is fine, but like modern pop country, I just can't. I can't take it.
It's garbage.
It's garbage, and I don't like it at all. I didn't like hip hop and rap growing up, but now I can respect it. I can hear a Childish Gambino song and be like, that's actually really, really cool and lyrically smart and clever. But I like, I've always been a rock guy. It's always been about the guitar, the bass, the drums, across the board, through all the music that I've been into, from Radiohead to the Pumpkins to the metal to the more alternative to the classic rock to the Beatles. All that stuff. But my mom also raised me on classical and, oldies and stuff like that too. So, yeah.
Right.
So what I'm trying to get at is that we're musical wunderkinds. We love everything, and everything we do is art. That's what I'm saying.
I think that was kind of cool because, like I was saying, I grew up with, like I said, my parents exposing me to music from their youth, essentially. And excuse me. And then my sister exposed me to like 80s pop stuff. She also probably was, introduced like Def Leppard, those kind of bands and stuff too. My brother would be the one that brought me hair metal more, because I remember listening to Motley Crue and Poison with him. So I got, the metal introduction there, and hip hop. I honestly think I stumbled into hip hop more on my own. Like, I think I just started listening and buying stuff and enjoying it. So I bought more and consumed more of it.
Yeah.
I always liked the Beastie Boys. I like, they were a big part of my music when I was growing up. I was a big Beastie Boys fan.
Well, it makes sense too, because their start was, they
did punk, and they played their own instruments, and then really it's funny because I got licensed to ill. I think it was given to me at a birthday party when I was in second grade because it had "Fight for Your Right to Party" on it. Little did my parents know how many things on that I should probably listen to.
Yeah, right.
But I was like looking at my son, and I was like, oh man, he's at the age when I was listening to Licensed to Ill, and I was like, maybe it's time I show him some of those songs. So I've been playing No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and just hoping that some of the lyrics go over their head as they play.
Right. So how was he receiving it?
He actually likes. I mean, I think he stuff like that is a little bit easier because it's so upbeat.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
The chant, no sleep till bana.
Yeah.
But you're like, MCA's in the back because he skis it with a whore. You're like, ignore that.
Yeah.
And that'll be what he remembers,
Repeats at dinner.
Yeah. Like, oh, Dad, turn it up. My favorite part's coming up. And you're like, oh.
It's my favorite part. Oh, that always happens. I feel like anytime I'm in the car with the boys and I open up my music selection, I feel like on the random rotation, the worst possible song begins with some horrible lyric that I'm like, racing for the dial, like, no,
right.
No, not anal cunt.
Yeah,
not that one again.
Yeah. What do you guys want to listen to? Anal cunt. Like, oh.
And then they go to the house and they're like, your son told us he wanted a certain song about some orifices. Oh my god.
So we're auditioning for the talent show, and your son
wants to perform a song by Anal Cunt.
Like, yeah, and?
And?
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Wait.
Pretty metal.
Like,
and
wait.
I'm super proud of him.
Which one?
I hope it's a deep cut.
Yeah.
I hope it's a deep cut.
Yeah, that you're offended because he didn't pick a deep cut.
Did he pick one of the more really popular songs, or one of the B-sides?
Yeah. I'll have a talk with him for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I'll talk to him. Hilarious. Oh man. Well, I actually probably have to start wrapping it up just because I think the children are home and I have to put them to bed.
Fair enough. We usually try to shoot for an hour
when they get older.
Yeah, it doesn't get better when they get.
Yeah,
older.
I don't have
bed
kids
now.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think my son's probably still awake, but
yeah.
Well, my oldest he's fine, but my youngest is 3, so it's still a journey of come on, got to work together.
Right. No anal cut until you brush your teeth and get in bed.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. No. You're not listening to that song until you are in bed, Mister.
I'm just picturing a very metal mobile hanging up.
Yeah, metal mobile and a pop-up book with devil horns, pentagrams.
Awesome.
This
Definitely.
is a ritual. This is a ritual sacrifice, son.
Now I kind of want to make that mobile though.
I know, right?
With goats' heads and.
Yeah, that kid would grow up very well adjusted.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Sure.
That's what they show. That's what they show on those series where it's the serial killer. What his childhood was like.
Yeah.
I should have done the metal mobile. That was probably a little too far.
At age 7, he sung "Anal Cunt" at the talent show,
and he was never the same. Oh man!
And they cut to me as the dad, and it's just me perpetually going. Yeah, I didn't know.
Like, I listened
Who
to it and I'm
knew?
okay.
I was fine. So,
All right. Well, yeah, I can't talk. What do you do? You want to
Plugs.
give all the plugs and whatnot? Thank you, Tony, because I'm stumbling over my tongue here.
fine. Well, you can find me on Twitter, Jacob Gibbons. I've got. Please go check out on YouTube. Check out Good Cops TV all together. If you go just searching Good Cops, you'll find a million videos about real police officers doing good things. But if you put in Good Cops TV, you'll find our channel. And then go to househarker.com for all the info about the movie, the store. And then the movie, if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch House Harker. You can stream it for free. If you don't have Prime, you can buy it for $4.99. You can rent it for $2.99. It's a fun ride. I hope people go check it out. I think it's 80 minutes. It's a lot of laughs. The blood, I feel like, is never to a place. Like, my mom saw it and it didn't freak her out. It wasn't like the kind of blood where you could, I don't think you could handle it, So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my stuff.
All right.
I plug some LA shows, but I don't know if anybody listening will be able to make them.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
So,
Yeah, we both. I'm speaking for Tony because I'm pretty sure I can here. We both agree with you about it's definitely worth, whether you rent it or buy it. Either way, it's worth it. And,
Oh, yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie I'm going to watch again because I got good laughs out of it. So
good. Yeah, and then if you have any other, I don't know, if there's something else that pops in your head as like a question about the movie, yeah, ask me anytime. I'd be happy to tell you about it. If there's something you're like, oh, how do they do that, or what's the story behind this little moment here, I'd love to answer it for you. So
okay, cool. All righty.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for having me on Salty Language Pod, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I don't know why it took me so damn long to ask you, because we've been talking off and on for years.
It took so damn long to actually schedule it, so we made it. It all came together. This is the perfect time.
Right. I guess
Perfect
I waited so you could get the movie out. That's what it was.
Yeah, you wanted some bigger things to happen.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the luxurious locks to grow.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very. I know. I'm getting every day I walk around. People are like going for the Jesus look, eh? And that, or I get Lebowski. I get a lot of Lebowski.
Yeah. Oh, I could see that.
I'm fine with that. I'd happily walk around in a bathrobe drinking a White Russian. So
you should just start doing it.
You know what? Starting tomorrow. So it begins.
Yep.
Damn.
You guys have been on. Thanks again for having me on.
No problem.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Us.
Yeah, it was good
By
time.
all means, come back if you want, promote more shit or talk metal.
Yeah, I'd love it. And then when will this air? When does it? When?
Probably.
Do you know, or is that something you have to decide?
No, it'll probably be next Thursday. That's usually when I put them up. So
awesome.
I'll tag you in all the stuff on Twitter and whatnot.
Fantastic.
Yep. So.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Well,
don't freeze out there.
Yeah.
Don't freeze.
We'll try.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go margarita and go stand outside in 80-degree weather.
You son of a bitch.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for having me, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right.
Bye.
Yep,
All right.
thanks.
All right, bye.
All right. Take it away, Annalise.
Enthusiast this.
Saturday Dick is glorious.